So you guys were one. I'm hearing a lot of you guys wanted a theme song shortened. So here we go. This girl reviews movies, games, and books. Sometimes she plays them. So does that? And when she does it with the cat, does that make her crazy? Does that make her crazy? Probably. So it's shorter. There you go. Crazy Cat Lady Gamer Reviewer or Martha Butler does not own any trailers or pictures. I use them under fair use, educational, for education and entertainment purpose.
Hi everybody, Martha here. So we're here doing the Fetch, the second book of Fazbear Frights, the Five Nights at Freddy series. I still got the first book, Into the Pit. So Fetch, it's a lot. So just like this one has three stories too, and the first one's called Fetch, and the second one is called Lonely Freddy, and the third one's called Outstock. And there's also just like this one, the epilogue is continued the story off of the one that was in there. So let's get started with Fetch. I'll read you what the thing says on the back first before I start with the review. Greg decides to put a constitutional science he has been studied to test. So he goes into a restaurant and finds a dog that which is on this cover right here, and he's a new character in the Five Nights at Freddy's books, Five Nights at Freddy's series, and one of his friends, size um CYIL. One of his friends get bit by the dog, and he Brad has to escape the dog, and basically, I'll read the last page to you guys. But it's a very vicious dog because it goes around killing a lot of people, and Greg has to find some way to get more courage, like to stand up to the dog and stuff like that, so he would not end up like a lot of people and like a lot of other people. And but he's really smart, and he he has to deal with talking like on stuff on the phone, because the way they do clips on here to let you know it's on the phone is by these little circle bubbles like you are when you're texting. And he's talking to his friend Cyrus, and that's the one who got bit by the dog. And slowly, Cyrus is because he gets a text that looks like a computer, so he thinks that's probably the robot dog answering. And here, am I almost to the last page? Here we go. Greg Richards opened the door and stepped out onto the attendant, and he constantly appears to the stairway, leads up to the front of the door. Then he stayed himself and looked around. Everything was normal. Kimberly's body was under the house, or in front of the mat. He nearly fainted in relief. What the hell wrong with you? Greg asked when Greg shrugged against the stairs rail. Nothing. But when his parent entered the house, Greg's dad grabbed Greg's arm and gripped his teeth. I've seen, at the same I'm disappointed you, his dad said, but I expected anything good from you in these years. Greg's mom sighed. 7. Hillary. Greg ignored both of them and went to the stairs in his room and peeked his clothes off. And soon as he was dark space, he went into take and yet another shower. It started again. Not only did it the hard bike ride and panicked to save Kimberly, he made up the sweat bucket and he sat in the smell like a driven, cough and SUV. He thought the hot shower might bring him back to life, but he'd get energy to go to Kimberly's house again. His bike still was in the back of his dad's pickup. The cop man stuck in his USB, and he took it Reagan, and he gave it back to when his parents left the station. But when Greg got out of the shower, he wiped off and he looked at the time of his phone. Also, he checked for text. Nothing. That's good, right? That was good, right? Maybe he could take a nap before heading to Kimberly's house and be sure she was okay. Heck, maybe she'll be wrong about the whole thing. Maybe Fetch was retired a snack, and his info had even realized his request. Maybe it was really nothing to worry about. Greg pulled out a yellow t-shirt, wrapped it a blanket to sleep in. Then he threw open the bath door, barely connected the screen. Contained a screen. Greg doubled away from the door and fell to the tile floor. And in his mind, he struggled to accept what he was looking at, and something wrapped in the sheets, lying across the doorway. As he stared once, he breathed. She turned a deep dark red, and glimmered in wet floor, budded light. Who was under the sheet? What was under the sheet? Greg could not get himself to move, and he could not find out. He didn't even look any further. He knew everything he needed to know. The phone on Greg's bath covered ventil. He could help himself. He picked it up and looked at it. That has text. See you. And that's how it ends. So it's kind of a cliffhanger how that one ends. Because you don't know what he sees. But poor guy. Maybe it's fetched saying I killed Kimberly, or he's looking through the window. Maybe he sees him. That's how it ends. Sees you. So yeah, that one was kind of creepy. You're not wondering, is Greg gonna make this out of this one alive? I don't know. So the next one's called Lonely Freddy, and I'll read the back to you this time too. Alec launched a master plot, explored his golden sister for a spoiled brat, and he knows she is. So let me get to the back of that page too. So this one is about a kid who gets hypnotized by one of the Freddys, and that's what it's called. And it's also called Lonely Freddy. And he gets trapped inside the he's been trapped inside the suit while the thing that's inside the suit takes over Alec's body, and he gets put into a place where all the other Freddys are at. And So he has to deal with being with one of the Freddys and being a, and having to adore it. And so they also mentioned like Foxy in here too a lot. So because I remember like yeah, they called one of the characters in here is called Lox Foxy. I did not see Bonnie or Chica in here at all. But there's also a character called Hazel and Aunt Gilly. So yeah, so let me read the last page to you guys. There's a reflection stared at blue-eyed, and two steps Freddy Fazbear, and its hair matted, and it started to curl over the puke, and its arms were expected and ready to hug. It can't be. It couldn't be possible. But Alec had no time to complete what was and what it wasn't. Before he knew it, it would moved on. The employee pinched Alec's paws against two fingers. Yick, he said, stripping off his note before holding Alec as the front of him he could. Into the bin for you, he said. He kicked open men's room door and traveled quickly down to the hill into the storage room. Alec had an empty escaped to it early. Wait, he tried to say. Wait! But even it was ever no use. The employee pushed the collection key and from the retractable cord in his belt loop had made his way very back into the storage room towards the familiar, a large green dumpster. Which one is it? He muttered to himself before he landed on the right one. Right, here it is. Then the employee stuck the key into the padded lock, over the bin, and with a sharp turn, and left the padded lock spent over. Had fun with you, little buddy, he said. He released his pen onto Alex's paw, sending him falling onto the air into the pen. The light from the room, illuminated in his surroundings into the bin, was long enough for Alec to see why he had it hurt when he fell in. He had been locked a ton of plush bears, and C looked exactly like him. A dozen of lonely Freddys. Nighty-night, the employee just like that, and the light above him streamed from the opening, and the closing and opening the lid. Panic spewed into Alec's port, and with might once been powered. His head, he screamed and screamed, but it, in the end, was only sound that creeped into the unhinge. And Scrubs the bear mouth was clumped squeak. Help! He thought he heard himself say, but then he realized it hasn't been himself at all. It's been the bear beside him in the bin, but it was the bear on the other side. Pretty sure that every bear in the bin, everything, you screamed for help, swallowed the metal and darkness, and that intoned them. Alec and his new friends, the tons of the lonely ones. So, poor kid, he gets into being stuck in a storage unit with a bunch of things like himself. So, yeah. So that one sounds, I don't know, that one sounds a lot more scary than the last one. So, I don't know if this is the same as like Oscar, because the next one from the last book, but this one's called I'll Stalk, and it's about a kid named Oscar who is looking for a plush trap, but they're all out of stock, cue the name, and he finds one that has human teeth and human eyes. But he also finds out that one is owned by that somebody took some human teeth and human eyes from somebody. So and yeah, so let's read the last page. So and the last person who had this one, because it was owned by an older person, but they've always ended up returning the plush trap to the store, and guess we know why. Because it looks creepy. It's like one of those old toys that probably should not have been put on the shelves to sell anyway. So, so let's read the last page to you guys. Because he felt so awful about that, he's been something that he knew wouldn't make it up for it. He knew he had to try. So he took what remained of his money and stopped into the Halloween hallway and picked up the small plastic jack-o'-lantern in 2 bags. The chocolate cupboard almost held. She opened it she loved so much. He filled the pumpkin with a chocolate and sliced the cupboard and break the room until he had knew she's been taking first coffee out of the night. When he handed it to her, she smiled, but he thought she hadn't looked that sad since his dad died. Still, she pushed him into the tightest, ripped and crushed hug in recent memory. And even though he couldn't barely breathe under her breath gripped, and she was so happy to know that he hadn't completely destroyed her. I haven't meant to depend on you so much, he whispered while she held him, and Oscar was surprised. She thought his dad was the reason why he for his sadness. He never concerned her. She might be reason. It's okay, he surprised himself. I mean it really was okay. Not all the time, but though it might not make a good time because before better, but like when his mother, like the present he made for her, or when his friend put an actual life in line, just so he wouldn't face a monster alone. That's okay, he said. He let her hug him for a good long while. Well, to tell you the truth, that one actually sounds like the most nicest ending out of the last 3. So, the epilogue is about that cop that's looking for that splinter. So in the fact that they keep on mentioning this in both these epilogues, I think this is the guy who made both the toys. He made all the toys for all these, and apparently if this one also does end on a cliffhanger, because I'll read this one to you guys too. Case has been near a standstill. It's gone without any leads until recently. Now he reached the inner cabinet of the gray spot jacket and pulled out a photo, which he held for Maggie to see. Maggie said nothing, but her face had a lot to say. First she flushed, and then quickly her cheek went pink, lost all color. She blinked and her eyes widened. Her mouth opened slightly. He headed her breathing slightly, about to call out upon her reaction. Detective Large did stepped Lily stepped a surprise, for her gray tabby suddenly went out, stepped, and jumped onto the single bed. Sorry, Maggie said again. She picked up the cat, and it immediately started to purr. Lawson couldn't help himself and reached out to rub the side of its face. Suddenly awake him from close to Maggie and stepped back. The cabinet right in front of him. He realized he reached it. Now he sees what was inside of it. At the same time, he was drawn to it, and he felt an unexpected relief opened the cabinet door. He sneezed. "Excuse me," he said. "It's the cat." Maggie said, "It's okay." He was lying. He was miserable, and the rest of the day. He realized that putting the opening of the cabinet, which was absent, so he grabbed the cabinet knob and pulled onto it. The cabinet was empty, but the inside of the walls, the cabinet wasn't. It was covered in Hade's black rubberine jars, closed together. Opened the nonsense letter by thick markers nearby every inch of the cabinet walls. Lawson couldn't see no meaning in Scruttered, but nonetheless, they gave him the same feeling he had when he opened the recent Gobble-proof death report. Lawson turned to look at Maggie. What happened in the house? And that's it. You don't know what happens in the house. We have to wait till the next book. So, I don't know. I'll have to look up to see when the next book comes out. I think it comes out in May. But, I don't know. We'll see if I can get it. So, yeah. This book was pretty good. All three stories are pretty creepy, but I'm able to read these books unlike the games. I'm not able to play the games. But so I'm gonna get Five Nights at Freddy stuff a 9 out of 10 for a great fright. Let me go and get Sully. Hey, I think I woke him up. I think he was sleeping. So, Sully, what'd you give it?
I give him for paws and my tail. I'm going to sleep now. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye-bye, guys. Like, share, and subscribe. And bye-bye.